What's up, my beautiful entrepreneurs? Okay, so you're making your body butter and the scent isn't exactly what you're looking for. It may be a little off and not as strong as you'd like. Well, that could be because of the temperature that you're adding the fragrance into your body butter. So I decided to do a little experiment to see when is the best time to add in fragrance to your body butter. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into the video. Now, when I first started making body butter, I was looking to see when is the best time to add in fragrance, but when I was researching, there wasn't a lot of information on when was the best time to add. I saw people adding it at different stages, so I really wanted to see when was the best time to actually add in the fragrance. So I decided to do 3 different temperatures. So one where it's right out of the boiler. The second is at room temperature, and the third is going to be when it's fully cooled down and whipped, and to see how does the fragrance react to each stage. So when I first started, I wanted to see how the formula would react to adding the fragrance in when it was hot from the double boiler. So what I did was create the formula, melted everything down, and took it right out the double boiler and took the temperature, and it was at 138 degrees Fahrenheit. So I went ahead and pre-measured the fragrance and added that to the formula. And initially when I added it in, it was really strong. Like I got a huge whiff of the fragrance, and I was like, okay, so this is gonna be a good option. So as I'm letting it cool down and I'm letting it whip, I noticed that the fragrance is starting to dissipate a little bit more and more as it cools down. And when it's fully whipped and in the form that we all love for the body butter, I noticed that the scent wasn't as strong as it was when I initially added it into the hot formula. And as I started to look more into it, fragrances have esters and alcohols that are added in that help to boost the scent. And when you're adding it into the hot formula, those esters and alcohols are being evaporated out, and the scent is getting dissipated more and more as it's cooling down. So you're losing all of that scent that you initially created when you were adding it into the formula. And thinking back at it, when I was first making body butters, that's how I was adding in the fragrance, and I'm realizing now that the scents were really light, but I wasn't selling it at the time, so it didn't bother me as much, but the scents were really light at that point, and now I know it's because I was adding it in too soon. Alright, so next is going to be at room temperature. Now this can be different for you depending on where you live and the time of the year, but since it's hot in Texas, room temperature is going to be 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So I went through the same process, melted everything down, allowed it to cool and get down to room temperature at 80 degrees. But I added in the fragrance, and again, it was really strong initially when I added it in, so I thought that that would be a great option as well. But as I started to let it cool down fully, whip it up, and get it to the texture that we all know and love, it was still losing some of the scent boosting power that I was initially looking for. And to think about it, alcohol still evaporates at room temperature, so you're still going to be losing some of that scent boosting features that the fragrance has, and you're going to have a little bit of a less highly fragranced body butter at this stage. Okay, so now for the completely cooled down phase. So I did the same process of creating the formula, melted everything down, and I allowed it to completely cool in the freezer and then whipped it up. After it being whipped, I checked the temperature and it was at 63 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, completely cool. It's at the temperature that we normally would have everything done. So I added in the fragrance, and initially the scent is really strong. It hits you right away. And when I added it in, I noticed that the texture of the body butter kind of changed a little bit, but don't worry about that, because as you continue to whip it, the peaks will come back from when you initially whipped it. The fragrance is just trying to melt its way back into the body butter. And as I let it sit and I put it in its container, the scent was still there. It was still extremely strong. The esters and the alcohol did not evaporate. Even if it does, it's at a really small amount, so your scent is still there, it's still strong, and it's at the perfect scent that you would ideally be looking for. So you're not going to want to add in more fragrance. You're going to be at the perfect scent profile that you were looking for initially. And sometimes when you're making fragrances for your body butter, it's not always about what temperature you're actually adding it in to the body butter, but sometimes it's about the scent profile that you've actually created for your scent. And if you are interested in a video where I go more in detail on how to create a great scent profile for your fragrance, put a heart down below and I will get that video out to you guys. Alright, so quick question, when you make your body butter, at what point have you been adding it to your formula? And let me know down below, how do you think that that's made any changes to your overall scent profile? But let me not hold you up any longer. When it comes down to when you should add in your fragrance, I think it's best to add it in when it's completely cooled down. It doesn't have to be fully whipped, but it should at least be completely cooled down, and that way you can get the full scent profile that you've been looking for and that you initially created before you added it in. Now, if you are in a rush, and so I understand you may want to get it done quicker, you can add it in at room temperature or below, and you can still get a really good scent, but also keep in mind that the alcohol is going to evaporate at that point as well still, so it may not be as strong as what you were initially looking for, but again, you will still get a stronger scent and it will be better than adding it in when it is hot. So be sure to add it in at room temperature or below, or allow it to completely cool to get the best scent profile for your body butter. Now, the perfect video to watch after this is how to scent your body butter, fragrance oils versus essential oils, which I'll have linked right here.